Hello grade 10, congratulations! Now we are done with first quarter and we will now move on with quarter 2. And we will start by module number 1, which is all about observing language of research, campaigns, and advocacies. So turning your module on page number 3, by what I know. Read the given article and answer the questions that follow by choosing the letter of your correct answer. So, we have article Planting the Seed of Hope, Instilling Child's Right in Education. So, after reading this article, from here, ang kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan, until lastly, children, in essence, the aim of education in holistic. So, after reading the entire article, you will answer or you will choose from the letters A, B, C, D from each number. So, in each number, there will be one correct letter that corresponds your answer. So, it's 1 to 15. How will you answer? How will you know the correct answer? By simply comprehending and understanding the article. So it is not that long. So from here up until here. In essence, the aim of education is the holistic development of the full potential of the child. So it is from the deped.gov.ph entitled Planting the Seed of Hope, Instilling Child's Rights in Education. So it's up until number 15. So going on, what's in the previous lesson, you were able to evaluate texts with cohesion and correctness. You learned about the importance of presenting thoughts in an organized idea. What's the importance of having organized idea? There will be a clear connection between your ideas in the text. So in noting the points in organizing ideas, complete the given diagram by relating a significant experience brought about by the distance learning to your life. Connect it to the realization you have at present. So we have here the new normal in education. So what do we have in new normal education? What is the difference between new normal education from the normal education that we had before? So you will write it here. So after that, this gave me the realization that, so what did you realize upon seeing the difference between the two? Did it bring impact to you as a student? Or what? If yes, or if there is an impact, then you will write it here. So what are the realizations that you thought after differentiating the new normal education from the system of education that we had before? So what's new? The changes in our situation towards the new normal have affected many, one of which is our educational system. Read the given essay and identify statements used by the writer to convince readers to agree with a point of view. For further understanding of the text, be guided by the processing questions that follow. So, you will identify the statements used by the writer to convince. When we say convince, the author is making the readers believe what he or she is saying. So that is convince. You will identify how the author or how Maria Teresa y Celso convinced the readers that education as a beacon of 21st century learners amidst crisis of COVID-19 pandemic. So you will read, it is quite long, until page 9. So the processing questions, number 1, what important idea about change is highlighted in the text? What memories about school were mentioned? Why must education continue? Cite one reason given in the essay. Number 4, how did distance learning bring innovation in the Philippine education system? Number 5, in your opinion, how important is education during this time of pandemic? So those processing questions will help you to remember what are the important details in the essay. So you should read the essay. So from page number 7, because you will really connect yourself, because it's all about experiences before, as we will compare it to what we have now. Maybe you will miss something, but you will realize that there are still positive impacts that it brought to us. So what is it? As mentioned in the previous text, there is significance for education to continue despite the difficulty of our situation. Pursuing learning for a better future is needed for every nation. We must never cease to learn, because change is always there, and change is inevitable, and we cannot deny the fact that we cannot stop the process of change. And by that, we should cope up. We should know how to adjust. We should know how to adapt. Because at the end of the day, the ones who are willing to improve and make himself or herself better will be the ones who will become more successful. But according to the instruction we read a while ago, that we should determine how the author convinced the readers. And that is the primary topic for today, which is all about the persuasive language. When we say persuasive, it is convincing or persuading. Or we are thinking, oh, there is a particular language about persuading or about convincing. Yes, you're right, because it is not the usual, it is not the casual we are speaking to one another. Because when we say convincing, you are making other people believe in you, believe in what you say, believe in what you express, that they are all, that it is real, it is happening. It is also that the readers are part of what you are writing, of what you are saying, speaking, or expressing. So, persuasive language refers to the language the author uses to persuade, either through speaking or writing. In writing, this includes the techniques the author utilized to convince the reader to believe his ideas or point of view about an issue. For example, about pandemic, how will make you believe other people, how you will make them believe that you are right about pandemic, that what you are expressing, what you are writing is real and it's really worth to read. And that how persuasive language works. Through persuasive language, conviction of one's belief is done, therefore making others agree with our opinion. These are established through our presented facts, shared values, accepted arguments, and concluded ideas. With the use of persuasive language in writing, we make people adapt our way of thinking. So if we will know that we are successful in convincing, in persuading other people, if they believed what we are saying and they will think the same way we are thinking. For example, we convince them that during pandemic we should study, we should strive harder, we should be more positive. But they are not like that. But if you will use effectively the persuasive language that they have to do or they have to think like that, it will be also a part of being successful persuasive language user. How? Later, we will identify the tips and the steps how to become a successful persuasive language user, how to convince other people, how to make them believe that what you are saying, what you are thinking is really worthy to believe. So going to the next one, letter B, the power of persuasion through language. So language is used also to communicate. Primarily, it is used to communicate, to say what you feel, to spread information, and for any purposes that you have. But it can be used to persuade other people. For example, you are a campaign manager of a team. How will you make other people believe that they should be elected, that they should be voted, that, or what are the facts that you can present for them to believe that they are really deserving in that particular position? Or for example, you are a salesman or a sales lady. How will make customers believe that your product is really deserving, is the best or the better than any product? So you should be wise, you should be mindful, and you should be wise, intelligent, that by giving information about your products, they will really buy it. That it's really affordable, it's really effective, and it's a matter of how you will use persuasive language. And that is the importance of persuasive language. Let us remember the main aim of persuasive language. It is to convince the reader to agree with one's point of view. To be more specific, persuasion is intended for the following uses. Number 1, call to action. It refers to using language in doing something to achieve a goal or deal with an existing problem. When we say persuasive, it is you are, after expressing your thought, you are convincing them to do something. For example, it's all about proper segregation. After listening to you, after reading the text you have made about proper segregation, they should do something. It is not, you will really know that you are successful in persuading them if they do something after reading. It is not only about making them believe that what you say is true. It's about the effect of what you said to them. So that is call to action, meaning you are calling or you are saying to them, it's imperative that you are somehow instructing them what to do, what is better to do. That is call to action. But remember, opinion is really, even though it is true, for example, it is true to me, it is true to some of the people, it is still an opinion. If it is not true to all, it is opinion. Sometimes, even though it is my own belief, it is how I believe in something, it is the way I think, and other peoples are agreeing with the way I think, it's still an opinion. If it is not true to all, it will stay as opinion. Remember, but in persuasive, it is very important to include facts, statistics, data for them to make believe. For example, in the commercials we are watching, they are saying that out of, according to, because they want to prove that they are really effective. And sometimes, or most of the time, we really base our choice, our decision based on how they presented their products. So that is a call to action. For example, you are a successful sales leader or salesman, you successfully or effectively may or encourage the customer to buy, and she already bought your product. That is a call to action because there is an action after using the persuasive language. And then we have number 2, or example for number 1. Let us work together in nurturing education in our community. For a better future, decide for the younger generation. So what is the imperative here? Decide. Let us work together. So there is a call for action. There is something to be done. You are encouraging them, your readers, to do something after. Number 2, make a change. It is the use of language to make people realize, make something out of the usual. Example, look at the effects of illiteracy among people. We certainly do not want the future of the Filipinos to suffer from ignorance. So when we say make a change, obviously, there is a continuous happening or scenario that you want to change. For example, being lazy, or not having, or not imposing proper time management. You are calling for an action also, but a change. You want a change, that you want to stop a particular thing which is not good to particular person, or most probably to the society. For example, a particular barangay is having a problem. You want to make a change. So it is one of the effects or one of the impacts that persuasive language has, to make a change, and how you will make believe that this change will be a better than before. It is your own way, it is your own presentation how you will make them believe in what you are saying. So later we will give you advice. Number 3, prove something wrong. So it is also connected to number 2, because there is something wrong, so you want to make a change. It refers how you prove you stand by contradicting the opposition, but it is somehow challenging for us to prove something wrong, because there should be evidences, there should be statistics, data, and information that will really prove that that there is something wrong. But when we say make a change, the only difference between 2 and 3 is, in make a change, you will do something to stop something. But in prove something wrong, you will stop by proving that there is something wrong. While in make a change, you will make a change. But they are associated. But in making change, you will prove something is wrong, or there is something better for you to make a change. Example, in prove something wrong, education in the new normal may be different, but it will surely develop a better generation who is willing to adapt and to adjust to specific circumstances. So prove something wrong, because some of people or students are thinking that education or new normal education will not bring any good impact to us. But in reality, there is, or there are. Number 4, create interest. Because sometimes we are really intact, we are really hooked by the text, where author is really successful and effectively use persuasive language that even yourself you did not recognize that you are really believing in what the author is saying, because the interest is there, because you are hooked by how the author presented his or her ideas. For example, the distance learning has promoted digital awareness among the young and old. So, what is young and old? So, what is the interest? It is your own way, your own idea, how you presented your information. For example, you showed statistics that there are young being effective, being productive because of new normal education. So, you will also include what is the trend, what is the issue, because that is the interest. You should invest things which will make the interest or which will get the interest of your reader. Number 5, get people to agree with your point, and that is the main point of the persuasive language, to get people to agree, to believe with your point. It is when a writer uses language to persuade and convince people to agree with his points. We are optimistic that the learners will realize that this new normal in distance learning will put their generation in history. How will you make them agree with your point? As I always say, you should be careful and mindful on how you will present your ideas. So, this will be the one I am telling, the techniques in persuasion. With the many purposes of persuasion, it may be identified that persuasion can be an excellent tool in creating a stand in writing. Accordingly, writers adopt several persuasive techniques in writing. So, in writing a persuasive text, it is possible that you will use techniques. 2 techniques, 1 technique, it is your own choice. Again, it's a matter of your decision on how you will get the interest, how you will make or how will you hook the readers to your text. Number 1 is flattery. What is flattery? It is persuasion technique developed by complimenting your audience. Complimenting, like you are saying all the good things, all the good things that your readers have. For example, Filipinos will be your audience. You will say that Filipinos are really hardworking, are resilient, that they can adapt to any changes that the world will bring, even the pandemic and so on and so on. What is the flattery there? That you are telling all the good characteristics, all the good traits of Filipino, which is your audience. And that will make them believe, yeah, for example, I am the audience of Filipino. Yes, I am Filipino. I am like that. I am resilient. And it is true that even though there are many problems, I am still here like that. So that is flattery. You are focusing to the positive side of your audience and you are revealing it, then connecting it to the theme of your persuasive text. Number 2, opinion. To state one's opinion or stand is a persuasive technique of putting a personal viewpoint, often given as a fact. Example, in my perspective, quality education is a right of every child. So when we say opinion, sometimes we are confused if it's a fact or opinion. But when we say opinion, again, opinion may vary. It might be true to me, but it is not true to other people. It might be true to many of us, but not to the entire people. Meaning, it's still opinion because a fact is true to all. Even you go to Mars, you go to Pluto, to asteroids and comets, it is still a fact. For example, it is no matter where or what you are suffering from. For example, you are suffering from problem in your family, in your friends, you will also say that it's a fact, that like that. But sometimes we are confused with opinion because they are believing that it is true, but in some or for some it is not true, so therefore it is opinion. So we should be careful of that. Opinion and fact are somehow being differentiated, but we are confused because opinion somehow true but not true to all, but fact true to all, to anyone, to anybody, anywhere, anytime. Number 3, emotive language. In Filipino, we have the word hugot, meaning emotive. There are many emotions that they are really connected. They can relate themselves because they are also experiencing suffering from that. So you will use the vocabulary that plays an important part in persuasion. Words in forms of descriptions are used to relate a particular emotion for the audience or reader to feel. This may also include words that appeal to the senses or imagery. So it appeals to the sense of sight, smell, touch, taste. And in this technique, the words create interest and excitement in order to persuade the audience. Because when you say emotive language, you will make your readers imagine. Because you have the imagery. They will imagine, yes, the author is right because he said that Filipino is resilient, and it was shown during the Typhoon Yolanda, during the Hagbagat, like that. So and you will accompany it with the emotive language. For example, though classes are done virtually, every child awaits learning something new with much joy and excitement. Meaning, it's not the casual way we are saying, but we are putting more emotions for them to feel. So we will target the affective side of the reader. Number 4, exaggeration. This technique includes use of exaggerated language for effect and appeal. Example, many people with big hearts willingly shared their blessings for their children. So when we say exaggeration, it is using figures of speech, where sometimes literally it is not true, but as you think deeply, figuratively, you will realize its hidden thought and idea. So that is exaggeration. You are exaggerating the thoughts, the way you present. For example, this product will really make you beautiful in just 3 days, like that. So sometimes we are hooked with those kind of persuasive or persuasion techniques that because of easy effect or fast effect. That is exaggeration also in the products. For example, after eating this, you will not become fat. You will stay slim. What if you eat many of that product? Will you still remain sexy, like that? So that is exaggeration. It is a way on how to hook and how to make them believe. But sometimes it is confusing for us if we will believe or not. But because of our interest, we are captivated with their presentation of information. So we tend to believe, even though it is somehow not that possible to happen. Number 5, groups of 3. It is believed that our minds process information in patterns. With these descriptions, statements, example, etc., that come in trees are said to be more persuasive. This is how use of 3 points or reasons to prove your argument becomes a persuasive technique. For example, most children are willing to defy the odds, to take the challenge, and to surpass their limitations to continue learning. So groups of 3, there are many data, statistics, and information stated, and you will also say that there are many who are believing it, who are also thinking in that way, for them to believe also, because they think that, many people are thinking that it's real, that it's true, so I should believe it also. But not all people will have the same way of thinking like that. However, there are people, so it will be also a persuasion technique. Number 6, it is the using of personal pronouns. Because when you say personal pronouns, it's somehow intimate, that you are really showing that it's real, because you are using the word I, we, you. For example, I experience, we should go, you have an impact to the world, like that. Meaning, it is bringing the audience that they are really part of your text. For example, I am convinced that young ones are the asset of this nation. We rely on your decisions. So you are like talking to them, that you are talking to each of the reader you have. So that is personal pronouns work. Repetition. Repeating words to emphasize a point is very easy to understand. Repeat. You are always repeating for your reader to remember. Example, as what Edward Maru had said, to be persuasive, we must be believable. To be believable, we must be credible. And to be credible, we must be truthful. And there are words being repeated, but they are connected. So that is repetition, that somehow it will remain, it will help the reader to stay in their minds the thought of your text because it's always repeated. Like, for example, daily routines. It is really, or these are the things that we cannot forget because these are the things we are doing daily. So that is repetition works. You are always repeating it to your entire text for your reader to be familiar, to not forget it. Number 8, rhetorical questions. It is very, it's very useful. It is very effective that we are using rhetorical questions. So these are the questions which are asked not for answers but for the effect it will create to the audience. These are the questions that you will not expect for your readers to answer, but you will expect your readers to think, to realize. Like, after listening or after reading that question, they will think, yes, it's right. What is the answer of this? Like that. So how many years do we have to wait for this to end? Who else will accept these challenges for the sake of learning? Like, they will make themselves to think and to make an action as well, because they will think that they have to do something after reading that because you convinced them, you persuaded them effectively. And number 9, it's very important to include facts and statistics because factual data in forms of statistics, research findings, and credible sources are used in persuasion. Shows a strong support to one's belief or opinion. And it is the reason why we are confused with facts and opinions. Because if opinions are associated with facts, sometimes you are thinking that it's really fact, but sometimes it is remaining as opinion. So facts and statistics, these are really vital for them to believe. For example, in commercial, they are saying that 5 out of 6, like that. So there are statistics, there are facts according to this group, according to the scientists, like that, according to professionals, according to the history. For example, on November 20, 1989, world leaders made a stand to ensure that children around the globe be allowed to grow, learn, play, develop, and flourish with dignity. So, facts and statistics are really vital, essential for us to persuade and convince other readers because they will think that it's really a fact because you have basis, you have information that will affect them on how they will believe you. And to generalize, remember, strong words, emphasis, and effective use of techniques in persuasion are essential keys in making your audience agree with your point. Persuasion is around us. It is not limited to writing nor other communicative skills. However, persuasion to be achieved successfully must be grounded on utilizing it in our own lives and way of thinking. Persuasive language deals on choosing the right words or phrases, the right time, and for the right audience. So as an author, you should know who is your audience, how or what is the interest of your audience, for you to know what are the techniques to be used in your text. So again, persuasive language, these are the words we are using for us to convince and to make them believe. The power of persuasion, call to action, make them do something, make a change. Because you prove there's something wrong, they will make a change. Create interest, because you hook them, they will believe in you. Number 5, get people to agree with your point. That's the main idea, to make them believe. Techniques, flattery, all positive sides will be said. You will include all the positive side of your audience. Opinion, you will say your opinion, but in your personal viewpoint. But always remember that opinion is really different from fact. Emotive language associated with hugot, and you are also putting so much emotion. Exaggeration, not literal but figurative. Like this, many people with big hearts, but literally, it is not big hearts, but it is the love, big love for other people. Groups of 3, many information, the better. And saying that there are many people who believe, it is better also, because they will believe that it is true. 6, personal pronouns to make it more intimate. Repetition to make it more familiar. Rhetorical question to make them wonder. Number 9, facts and statistics to have bases, because the more bases you presented which are connected to your text, the more possible they believe in you. So, going to the independent activity number 1, you will write true or false. 1 to 10 only. So, it's all about persuasive language. After reading that, you will just simply write true or false. Independent assessment number 1, state and persuade. So, go over the essay, then complete the given graphic organizer by supplying 5 persuasive line sentences used by the writer. So, a while ago, you are tasked to read this one. And I told you also to identify statements used by the writer to convince readers to agree with the point of view. Therefore, you will, among the persuasive language, I explained what persuasive language, how the author convinced you. So you just copy the lines or statements there and write it there. Okay. Independent activity number 2, power of persuasion. Match the statements in column A with the purpose of persuasion stated in column B. Write only the letter of your choice on the space before each number. So, is it call to action, make a change, prove something wrong, create interest, get people agree with your point? So, these are the examples, situations. Then you will just identify what is the aim of persuasive or language in persuasion here. So it's only A, B, C, or D, E. Independent assessment number 2. In the box below, there are persuasive techniques here. A, flattery. B, opinion. C, facts and statistics. D, emotive. E, repetition. F, exaggeration. G, groups of 3. H, rhetorical questions. I, personal pronouns. So I explained it a while ago. What are the differences between those persuasive technique? So after this, after reading each number, you will identify what persuasive technique is being used in each number. You will just write the letter of your correct answer. And independent activity number 3, test of powers. Test your power of persuasion. Complete the table below by supplying at least 3 persuasive techniques and their examples. So you will choose from here. For example, flattery, about positive, make an example. Rhetorical question, make an example. Personal pronouns, make an example. It's very easy. You can base your answers from the examples given a while ago. Independent assessment number 3, observe the ordinances and rules implemented within your community or your barangay. Create a signage about it. When you say signage, it is somehow a reminder of what they should do or what they should follow. And using persuasive techniques, explain it in 3 to 5 sentences. why these rules or ordinances should be adopted by other communities in your municipality. You can make it on one whole sheet of paper or short bond paper, and it will serve as one of your performance tasks. Remember that performance task will be 60% and 40% will be your written works. So there is a bigger percentage of your performance task, so you should do it. It's very easy. Signage. And when I say persuade, it's like imperative that you are calling for an action, what they should do. For example, but it is not, you are not allowed to use it na. For example, stay at home. That is a signage, but it's very common. So you should make your own and explain it in 3 to 5 sentences. Signage about what should be done, for example, in your community, in your barangay. So the rubric will be creativity. You can put some colors, content, how useful the signage is. Mechanics, if you are correctly presented your ideas. What I have learned. From this lesson, I discovered that blah blah blah. What did you learn about persuasion, about the techniques? I will also use persuasive language too. In what way you will use persuasive language? What can I do? In the previous activities, you were able to identify the different purposes of persuasive language as well as techniques. Techniques in persuasion. We were able to see the power in persuasion. Using this new information, write a short message of 5 to 7 sentences addressed to your fellow student on how studying can be fun and effective in this new normal using distance learning. Write it on a separate sheet of paper. So here is your first performance task in second quarter, which is all about the signage. The second one will be a letter that will show, or that you will make your classmates or other students believe that studying can be fun and effective in this new normal. So you can also include your own experiences. You can also include rhetorical questions, personal pronouns, and other persuasive techniques that we have discussed a while ago. So we have here another rubrics: content, organization, mechanics. Content, it is the message. Organization, how you presented, how clearly you presented. Mechanics, how correct the words you used, and the arrangement also. And for the assessment, there are information being asked in each number, and you will simply write the letter of your correct answer. It's 1 to 15. But for numbers 11 to 15, read the paragraph below and answer the question that follow. So after reading that, you may answer 1 to 15. And for additional activity, your last task will be: assume that you are an educator in your community. How would you promote the value of education 10 years from now? Using persuasive language, create a 2-paragraph letter of 3 to 5 sentences for the youth and explain your advocacy for the children of the future. So relevance and content, organization, and mechanics. So there will be 3 performance tasks. The first one, the signage. Second one will be the letter to students or to your classmate to make them believe that there is a fun and studying now in new normal education is also effective and you are having fun. And number 3, this one, 10 years from now, how will you describe or how will you promote the value of education? So there will be 3. Remember, 60% will be coming from your performance task. And that's all. I hope that we will use our time effectively, because if we will not use it effectively, the one or the most affected person will be yourself. So have time allocation, proper time allocation, proper prioritizing of your things, of your events, of your daily routine, of what should be done first and what can be skipped. So it's your own choice. Remember, change is always there, but it's our decision if we will continue or not. So goodbye, stay safe, and thank you.